A very warm welcome from Sisimiut in Greenland, ICAO Bravo Golf Sierra Sierra. We're going to be looking at a couple of aircraft, the Britten-Norman Islander by Black Box, the Xingu Embraer 121 by BR Sim Designs, and the DHC-7 by Pilots. And what we're going to do is look at the avionics and in particular the NDB ADF receivers with the RMIs and the DMEs and how they might or might not interact with the PMS50 GTN750 which I have installed, the full version of that, the payware version. So we're in Greenland. This is the payware variant of the Greenland package by Tango Lima Charlie developers, I think. I'm not quite sure why there's so many cars here, but we'll ignore that. We don't need to worry about that. And the reason for me doing this is because I just want to clarify that I'm not out to be troublesome. I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm not trying to be awkward. I just want the DHC-7 to be perhaps better than it is, because I enjoy the old school style flying. I also like the more modern day GTN Garmin glass cockpits as well, but I learnt in the days where this sort of approach, this NDB DME approach, was the way to fly. And this is at Sisimiut, Bravo Golf Sierra Sierra, and this is the sort of approach that I used to do and how I got my PPL with IFR restricted rating. And on this particular approach you'd fly overhead the beacon, the locator at 4,600 feet on the QNH, and transition altitude is 8,000. Sierra Mike is the locator, the NDB is just east of the airfield, just northeast really, but 341 is the frequency. You fly outbound track 312 to 10 DME, so this it requires the DME. This is not a VOR, this is the DME only on 108.15, and then it's a left turn inbound track 125 to 8 DME, and then it's a 3.15 degree descent to the missed approach point of 500 feet plus 50, which was my minimum 550. In fact, I used to add 250, so it would be 750 on the minimums. That would be for restricted IFR rating in the UK, and in the Britten-Norman Islander and the -7 and similar types, you would do a ground speed roughly 120 knots, so you'd have a descent of 670 feet per minute. That would get you down to the missed approach point sooner rather than later, but of course you need more time to be visual with the runway. That's the whole point of a non-precision approach. So there we go. That's Sisimiut. That's the NDB DME that I enjoy flying. Just going to look at the map around here, because there's actually two NDBs. One is, as I said, just to the east of the field, and the other one is just pretty much south. Where are we? A bit lost. There we go. Let's just zoom back in. I don't always fly around here. I do enjoy it though, because it has a lot of these. There's this type of approach, old school. So there's the DME 108.15. There's Sierra Mike 341, and down here to the pretty much to the south, you've got 328 Hotel Bravo. And we'll dial all of these in various aircraft and see how they perform. As I said, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want this to be right. That's it. Really is that straightforward, and I don't want any angst. So this is me reaching out once again. I was just trying to be helpful, essentially. So let's get into the aircraft. So switch off the developer camera. There we go. And in the cockpit of the Britten-Norman, let's get rid of the yoke. All we need to do is get the battery on, and we'll go to external supply, So we've got the avionics. We'll switch the avionics master on. This is the default avionics suite in the Britten-Norman Islander. There is no GTN support. The only options are for, external trickery, chocks and gust locks and stuff like that. So we'll wait for the GNS530. This is the default one from the marketplace. It is the working title. So you could say it's a standard fit. So let's get the GNS finding its satellites, and while that's happening, we can dial in 341, which was the first of those NDB. So let's try that again. 341. Make sure we're on ADF, and we are, and we've just saw the green ADF needle here pointing, and we are, as I said, on the ramp. And the first NDB, let's just get the map up again, there's the ramp pretty much directly in front of us. So you can see that the ADF receiver and the RMI is behaving as expected. The RMI is slaved, and it's picking up that one there. So that's 341. Let's go 328, see what happens there. I'm expecting it just to work and just to point to the south. There we go, pointing to the south, and we'll just get the map up again, and we've got we're on the ramp, so it's pointing pretty much to the south. So those are working in the correct sense. Now let's get 108.15 on the nav radio. So we'll have to push this knob in to select the nav. Then we go on the bigger part of the knob, 108. 108.15. 108.15 we've got. Then we'll flip them around. So that's the active frequency. And what we're expecting is to see a DME, but nothing's happening. So this is slaved to box 2, right? So it's not going to give us anything here, but interestingly, it is picking up the DME. Distance 2. Okay, so that's correct. Let's put 108.15 onto box 2 to get this one working. 108.15, there we go. Immediately it's come up, and that tallies with that, so it's 0.2 on both. I'm just going to slew the aircraft now off the airfield just to check that the RMI is going to point in the right sense. So expecting that to decrease, maybe to 1716, something like that, and the NDB, the DME to increase. So let's just slew off the airfield. Let's go all the way over here to open water. Of course, it's ice. Back inside, and let's go. So yeah, the ADF is now pointing pretty much 150 or 155, and the DME is showing 0.7 and 0.7. So those two are working. So all the avionics here are working as expected. What I want to do now is just to get the GTN up on the screen, and we'll see how the external GTN works with the onboard avionics. Let's see if it misbehaves in any way. So I'm just going to move this so we can see. There we go. Just pop it down to the bottom of the screen. So, oops, my bad. Right. So we've got 108.15, and that's mirroring what we got here, and the radios are also echoing each other. Let's just change. Let's just swap the frequencies around. So you should see. There you go. So this is slaved. This is slaved to that. So it's working alongside that. Let's go to the map, and it's giving us a distance of 0.5, but that's to the airport, and the DME reading 0.7 and here 0.7 hasn't changed. Let's slew back somewhere closer to the airport there, and we'll see that that's changed 0.3, that's gone to 0.3. So this doesn't seem to be having an adverse effect on the avionics on board, and the RMI is also still behaving as you expect. And if we just switch to 341, then that's going to be, yeah, that's fine. So the Britain Northern Islander by Black Box Simulations with the GTN seems to be working fine. So I'm just going to switch to GTN off. That's gone off screen. We'll go back to the main menu and we'll select a different aircraft. So let's get the Zingu by BR Simulations. It's one of my favourite little turbo. Oops, hang on. Let's go to aircraft selection. We don't want liveries. Goodness me. Right, so where's the Zingu? There's the Zingu. And we'll pop it back on the airfield to simulate daytime. Okay. This is a really nice little aeroplane, this one here. 7 passenger seats, 2 up front and 2 turboprops. Not particularly fast, but it's very sweet. So it's nicely made and nice to fly, very stable. And this is the sort of flying that I enjoy doing. Right, let me switch my head tracker off. Okay, so here we are in the Zingu. There we go. There's the Zingu. Lovely, lovely little aircraft. So let's get battery on. Let's get avionics master on. Might need to get ground power. Let me see if I can sort that out. I'm not quite sure I know how to get ground power on. I think let's go down. There we go. That's ground power. Okay. We'll get anti-collision light on. No. Nav light. Thank you. Get myself into a muddle here. Right. Nav light to show aircraft is live, and we'll switch the master caution off, and the avionics should be on. Let's get the inverters on. There we go. So let's wait for that to warm up. While that's warming up, we'll get the NDB. So it was 341. We'll dial in first. 3, 4, and we'll go 1. Just press OK. OK. Right, so 341 we've got. This is on ADF, so it's already set to ADF. So let's have a look what the needle is doing. So 341 directly ahead of us, and just to show you, we are on the ramp at Sisimiut, so it's pointing in the right direction. So that is correct. Okay. Needle number 1 is showing 341 correctly. Let's get the other one, 328. Oops, 328. And that should be pointing pretty much south. There it is. And it's way over there somewhere. But that's correct. So the ADF receiver and the RMI are working. This is also slaved to the HSI. Not that it has a bearing on it, but that's working okay. Right, the GNS, the working title GNS 530 has woken up. So let's get the DME set on that. Oh, that's right, I remember now. It's funny how the implementation is different in different aircraft. So I've got the standby frequency selected on the nav radio, but when I tune, it actually operates the active frequency. So, but it doesn't matter. It's still the frequency. So 108.15, and it's registering here 0.2 miles, that is correct. And then we look at the DME here, that's correct. This is a similar unit actually that's found on the DHC-7. It's on nav1 showing 2 miles, and that is correct. So let's again slew a bit further out. We'll just get down to the end of the runway or something like that. There we go, that'll do. Of course I've lost my power now. Oh dear, let's do that again, shall we? Okay. Yeah, well, let's go with battery powered handset. Oh dear. All the best made plans. Right, so the RMI is working, and the DME is registering 0.3, because 108.15. This is slaved to nav1 and nav2 on the GNS530. So, irrespective of whether this is still warming up and gathering intelligence on the satellites, this is still behaving as it should. And let's press enter. We'll wait till it's acquired all the satellites, and let's hope that will happen before the master caution, the battery runs out. So 108.15 is there. It's showing distance DME 3. So this is not interacting adversely with the onboard avionics, and the RMI is working. Let's bring in the GTN, and this will be slaved, no doubt, to nav1, nav2, com1, com2, and there we go. So we've got 108.15, 108.15. Let's go to map. This will be showing a distance to the airport though, so that's showing. Well, it's not showing, and I haven't got anything dialed in anyway. But you know, what we're looking for is the DME. DME here is correct. The DME here is correct. It's unchanged, irrespective of this. Let's move the aircraft a bit further out. Let's go here. Let's see what it's done. So 0.5. 0.5, and that's not affected anything, and the RMI is still showing sensible readings. So that's not affected. The GTN in its sort of menu driven form is not affecting anything. Let's get the GTN now in the panel. So select PMS50, and as I say, this is the full version of the PMS, so it's there. I've got to recycle the radio master to get that to come on. It doesn't take very long for it to work. So 108.15 is still nav1. 108.15 is still nav1 here. Distance 0.5. Distance, well, it's showing 0.6, but that's from the airport. And if I move the aircraft, we'll see that let's go right out here. Let's go at least a mile and a bit out. We're one mile out. Okay, and that's showing 1.1 miles. So yeah, it's still picking up the DME. So that in the panel has not degraded any of the other systems. Okay, so let's come out of this. Let's go to the main menu, and we'll select the DHC-7. And as I said, I'm not trying to be different. I just want to be square about this, just to be open and honest, and you know. So let's look at the liveries. So this is the default avionics. This is not GNS. It's not GTN. This is the default avionics. Okay, and let's go back to the same airport, back to the ramp. So no GTN, no GNS, this is stock avionics. And what I'm expecting to see before we actually do it is I'll dial in the ADFs, the frequencies of the NDBs into the receiver, the ADF receiver, and the RMI will not point at the beacons. Okay, so let me switch my head tracking off. Let's get rid of the yoke, and all we need to do is to get the batteries on. We'll get position lights on. That's all we really need to do. Okay, so we've got avionics should be on. We'll switch that on, so you can see that it's operational. Let's get 341. So 3, 4, 1. Switch it to ADF, and the needle is not pointing. Let's just remind ourselves 341. It is directly east of the field, and 328 is to the south. So 341 should be pointing directly ahead, but it's not, and it is set to ADF. Let's switch it to VOR. No. Let's switch this one. No. By the way, when there's no signal, when they're not receiving anything, these should point to the right, the 3 o'clock position. That is off, and it's pointing to the right. Not like that. Okay, so that's not showing any NDB. Right, let's go back to the box here. Dial in 328. Still on ADF. Nothing here, even though it is on ADF. It's just selected to VOR. Still nothing, although you could argue that that is pointing pretty much to the south, but that's not, because if we move the aircraft, and we will do that, that will stay static. Let's just try this other button here. No. Okay, so let's just move the aircraft and see if those work. Actually, before I do that, let's get the DME. So we want nav box, which is up here, 108.15. That's moving as if it's a nav radio, which is not correct. But anyway, 108.15 we've got, and it's enabled. It's on box 1, and no DME reading here. Let's go to nav 1. And if you look, when it goes to hold, the middle position, you get the word hold here, but that's actually on a plastic case, so you really shouldn't see that hold there. But anyway, let's go to nav 1. We're on, and there's another issue here. There's MN, that should be NM for nautical miles, but it's actually written MN. Anyway, no reading on distance, and if we go to ground speed, no reading on ground speed. So this is not picking up the DME. So when you're trying to do this sort of approach, you just can't. You need the NDBs to point correctly on the RMI and the DME to give you a sensible reading. A lot of NDBs, this is NDB DME, but a lot of them are, you fly outbound 2.5 minutes, then you turn your leg, okay, and then you fly inbound for a certain amount of time before starting your descent at whatever ground speed you're doing. They're hard to do. It's old school. It's what I enjoy. But anyway, you can see here that the required nav aids are not showing in the default avionics fit in this aircraft. Okay, which is the same. Anyway, let's just zoom out. Let's go way out here, at least half a mile to a mile out. Get back inside, and right. So the two needles here are still pointing south. Well, that one's pointing somewhere else. Not quite sure what that radius doing. Not pointing at anything, I don't think. Really don't know. I really don't know. Oh, they're both pointing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So that's not behaving as it should. So we've got the DME, and that's still not registering. Let's try it on ground speed. No. Okay, nothing. Okay, and let's just switch this in case that button's reversed. I haven't checked that. No, that's my wife just come home. So just bear with me. Sorry, just give me I'm so sorry. Okay, right. Okay, so that's yeah, so that's not changed anything there, even though we're sort of half a mile out. Right, let's go back to the main menu, and we could do the same with the GNS or the GTN. Let's just do one of them, and because we're looking, this is the whole inquiry is about the GTN. Let's pop the GTN into the aircraft and see whether that works. And I'm not expecting it to, because it hasn't up until now. So we want air green GNS. Oh, let's go for the GNS. Heavens, why not? Let's go back to the ramp here. Simulate. Go here. Let's do it with the GNS, and we'll get the pull down GTN as well, just to show that there's no interaction. Not that the avionics suite was working anyway, but maybe it'll kick it into shape. Who knows? But I don't want to labour the point. It just, you know, clearly that there's something not right in the build, and I look forward to it being, you know, put right. Let's get position right. So it's good airmanship to do that. Let's hide the yoke. Right, so we've got the GNS dialing in. Let's get 3, 2, 8. Set it to ADF, and no, 328, if you remember, was south of the field. It's not picking it up. 341 is to the east of the field. Let's get, and that is on ADF. Let's just click that button. No, nothing. Right, so let's get 341 dialed in. Still set to ADF. And again, it's not pointing directly ahead of us because we're on the ramp at Simulate. Okay, right, so we've got to hit enter, wait for this to acquire the satellites. Let's switch this unit on, and what will happen is that this unit won't actually switch on. Oh, it will. Okay, my bad. Right, let's get 1. Oh, I can't read it. Can't read it. 108. 15. It's there you go. So 108.15 is the active. It's showing 0.2 miles here on the GNS. This is not, and this should be slaved to the nav equipment. Okay, and it's not. You know, that should be that. This will take the place of COM1, COM2, but it's not. So it should be. So RMI not working. That's not working. Let's pull down the GTN, but I'm not expecting this to make any difference. And you know, I don't think I really need to get the GTN variant on the screen. I'm sure you can see that. You know, dialing in the frequencies not really changed anything here. And when you have this unit in the panel, or as a drop down as it is here in the other aircraft, which include the black square. I've got the black square Caravan, I've got the black square King Air, I've got the Embraer Bandurante, I've got a whole host of third-party aircraft, none of which, the Coronado PC-12 as for instance, and you know that they're all fine, they all work as expected. So anyway, I hope that's been useful. As I said, let me just reiterate, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to be open and honest, and above all, helpful. Okay, so this is me reaching out once more, hopefully this will be of some use. As I say, I don't want to start a battle, I don't want to have difficulties. If it's not of use to you or you're not interested, just out of courtesy, please just email me and let me know, and then I'll know where I stand. And okay, so I look forward to some changes in the DHC-7. It is a lovely plane, nicely modelled, lots of functionality. We've spent a great deal of time on there. It's a shame to not have some of the basics correctly implemented. All right, I'll sign off. Thank you for your time. Bye.